Hi everyone, it's Amber and welcome to Amber Goodwin Art. I know it's been a long time since I've posted a video or done a painting, and I thought today would be a great day to show a diptych set that I created for my living room. Now, I commissioned myself to redo all the paintings in the downstairs area. So I redid my living room, which is the family room / den area, along with the formal living and dining room. And I wanted to go for a more cohesive look. So I had been busy creating for my house, and also I was trying to recoup from an amazing time I had at Fluid Art Experience, where I taught my heavy texture dot art technique. All my students were amazing and they had a fun time, and hopefully I inspired them to start their dot art journey. Now for today's painting, I created a diptych set where I did swipes in very earthy and minimal tones, where I used a lot of copper and Paynes Gray and some interference paints as well. Before we go check out what I created, I do want you to also see my newly redone art studio and art space. Now, I do want to stress the importance of having a great space to create in, because your space inspires you and it's kind of like your getaway away from things. And I wanted my space to feel inviting and positive and have a lot of positive energy. So let's go check out my before and after studio. And y'all, check out my messy studio. This place feels so uninspiring and uninviting, and I just could not believe that I let it slip this far and get to a point where I just did not feel like being in this room. And it took me 3 days to clean, and my husband helped me as well. And here is the final cleaned out space. I have a little closet for my larger canvases, and then some paintings and photos of my kids. I moved the table behind my table where I do my artwork for drying, and I organized and color coordinated each paint color by brand. And here is my table where I create my paintings. And then here is the shelf that my husband got for me for Christmas that he put together, and it fits a lot of stuff. I have my pigments in these drawers that I got from the Dollar Tree, some tube paint over there in a tray, and some little trays with my brushes and Posca pens. And I have all of my colors, again, color coordinated by brand. And then I also decided to hang some of my paintings, and I got these shelves from Hobby Lobby a couple of years ago, and again, I color coordinated by brand. And then this glass shelf here has all of my pouring medium and other mediums. And here are some of my artwork that I have, and I also got some inspiring quotes and posters. So this one says, "Don't forget to have a good time and always be kind to yourself." So yeah, here's my space. Let me know what y'all think. And I just love being in here, and I feel so much more inspired, and I feel like creating again. And here is another 180-degree look of the space. And again, I'm super excited to be creating again in my newly cleaned out and refreshed space. Well, everyone, I hope y'all enjoyed my studio tour. And now on to my colors. I'm using interference orange, copper, some Paynes Gray, and light gold, followed by bluish gray and some golden interference blue. And I thought this would be a really good color palette for like a marble type granite feel. And then I'm using a 16 by 40 inch canvas, and I'm creating a diptych. And my base paint is titanium white. And I wanted to have, as I mentioned earlier, a very stone-like granite look to these pieces. So when I layered my paints, I kept the layering super thin, like thin ribbons almost. So here I am just spreading out my base paint, and I'm making sure I have enough so that when I tilt, I can tilt off enough paint. I always go on the caution of using a little bit more base paint because you can always stretch it off or tilt it off. And I'm popping some bubbles here. And I am doing a swipe on both of these panels that I'm doing. I am using Molly Artistry's recipe that I learned from her swipe technique course. So this is a no pillow, no varnish swipe. I'm not using any house paint, and I'm not using any untinted paint. I'm simply using Floetrol, Creative Inspiration Gloss Medium, and that is it. And of course my Australian Floetrol and acrylic paint to swipe to get those cells. And these are the thin ribbons that I am telling you about. I did not want a lot of color. I feel like that I should have done them a little bit more thinner because I really wanted the base paint, the titanium white, to shine through. So I am just starting off with my interference color, followed by copper, some Paynes Gray, and some light gold. I didn't want the deep gold because I'm already using that copper. And I think I put a little bit too much of the gold, and I wish my ribbons were a little thinner, but it's fine. It turned out great. And I'm going in with my grayish blue or bluish gray, whatever you want to call it. And I think these colors went really, really well together. I did a little test piece on a tile before I, decided to go ahead with this color palette. And I also did something a bit different. In my base paint, which is the titanium white, I used the Creative Inspiration Gloss Medium and Floetrol, but I also added a healthy splash of Behr Untinted 7300 Satin Enamel. I feel like it gave really cool cells, so I added that, and it was a good experiment. And I am using TriArt Titanium White as my cell activator. I love how TriArt gives really nice, well-defined cells, and that's due to the viscosity. It's a high viscosity paint, so it'll give different cells, while Amsterdam acrylic paints are medium viscosity. So I absolutely love TriArt, and I'm using a large palette knife, and I really wanted a very linear motion to these, so I am not moving my hand too much. I'm just going straight across over my colors with that cell activator, and then I alternate my sides when I swipe. Now, if you would like to use TriArt paint for your fluid art or any type of art, I highly recommend going on to their website, triartmfg.com. I'll have the link down below, so definitely check it out. And you can use my code Amber's Awfully Awesome Art to save 10% on your order. Shipping is free at $75 or more, and the prices are amazing. I know that Blix sells TriArt as well, but I feel like the pricing directly from the manufacturer is way better. So I highly recommend going onto their website and using their amazing paint, because it's definitely super pigmented, and a little goes a long way. So now I will just continue to swipe, and I went ahead and, swiped the rest of the canvas. The video was a little long, so I didn't want it to, be too long. So I'm at the end of my canvas over here, and as you see, I'm going opposite. And you can also use my code AMBER20 to save $20 on Molly Artistry's swipe technique course on smartartcourses.com. I highly recommend this course if you don't want to use house paint or pillow paint or untinted house paint for your blooms or your swipes. I switched over because I was noticing that the ingredients in the pillow paint, the PPG Multi Pro that I normally use, and the Valspar Untinted house paint, they were different from batch to batch. And I was realizing that I was spending a lot of money on the products for your regular bloom. So I experimented some with the paint consistency with Molly's recipe, and I'm super happy with how the blooms and the swipes turn out with her recipe. And I just love her course. It's amazing. I highly recommend it. So here I am just tilting my canvas, and always remember to tilt the areas you don't like off first and tilt the areas that you do like last, because if you tilt an area off that you really like, you're not going to be able to get it back. And I feel like I'm done with this piece, tilting it, and I'm just going to let it dry, and I'll come in for a aerial close-up. But over here I'm just touching up my edges on the sides, which you can do. Also, you can brush it on when the painting dries, but I had quite a lot of paint to where I was able to touch up the sides. And now we will come in for a close-up. I'm super happy with how this turned out. And here is a close-up of the painting. I love how the satin enamel gave pretty well-defined cells. I love the colors. I feel like I should have used a little bit less of the Paynes Gray, but overall it's good. This is exactly the look I was going for. I can't wait to do some of these marbling type swipes again and using less colors and paint on them. But yeah, I'm super happy with how these turned out. And just check out the cells. The Paynes Gray goes really well with the copper and the bluish gray and the light gold, and the copper is giving like a nice earthy sand type feel to this painting, and I'm really happy with how the cells turned out with this. I don't do swipes all the time because I don't like my swipes, but I'm pretty confident that I will be doing more swipes again. And there you have it, guys. I will be back with the dried results. Here's the dried result of my diptych set. I love how these dried. I have not sealed them yet, and if I do seal them, I will use a satin or a semi-gloss varnish. And I wanted to point out how the cell structure is with the addition of that untinted satin enamel, along with the Creative Inspiration gloss medium and the Floetrol. I love how well defined the cells are. There is lacing, but there's also some bold cells as well. And I'm extremely happy that I thought of this color palette. It looks great, and I love how the integration of the Paynes Gray and the copper gave like almost like a peach tone, which is really pretty, especially in person. And it's exactly the feel I was going for. I wanted a very granite rock-like feel, not necessarily marble, but more of a granite feel. And I'm just really happy with how these dried and how they turned out. And here is another close-up of the diptych set. Again, love the cells, love the ombre cells that came out. My favorite area has to be the corner of the left-hand painting where you see the what they call ghost cells. So super pretty. Again, guys, I do commissions, I sell my art, and I also teach lessons. So if you would like to learn, check out my website, ambergoodwinart.com. And the paintings look really nice in my living room area. I'm super happy. The space is so inviting and calm. Again, guys, thanks for joining me. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments what y'all think, and definitely check out my website for purchasing art or signing up for a lesson. Until next time, guys, have a good rest of your week. Bye.